Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to Super Geeked. I'm Victoria and I am a full-time reseller of fashion, both contemporary and vintage, and also a dealer of mid-century modern collectibles and antiques. So I sell primarily online on sites like Poshmark, eBay, Etsy, and Mercari. And today it's a what sold video of what sold for me the first 2 weeks of July 2022. That's July 1st through the 15th. So if you're interested in seeing what's selling for me right now in 2022, then stick around and we'll get into my sales. So sales this month continue on the same trajectory that they've pretty much been on, a little bit of an incline, but I'm still struggling to get eBay back up after my suspension. It has been tedious, but I'm listing, so I know eventually that'll happen. I don't have any sales for you for the first 2 weeks of July on eBay. But I did have some sales after the first 2 weeks. That'll be in the next what sold video. So let's start with Poshmark, my top selling platform. I've had a lot of questions lately from viewers about selling on Poshmark. Poshmark was primarily just for fashion, but they have expanded their categories over the last couple years. They started with pets, and now you can list certain household goods, certain electronics. You can list toys. So their categories are constantly expanding, and to me, they have continued to be my top selling platform, even with the algorithm changes that have happened over there. So let's get into these sales. First up is ModCloth. If you've been watching my channel, I mentioned ModCloth in pretty much every what sold video. I love to sell ModCloth, and this is a dress I've sold over and over again. It's called the Exquisite Elegance dress. This one took 951 days to sell, but I buy these knowing that they're gonna sit. They are a long tail item, which means that it's gonna take the right buyer, and it generally will take a little bit of time for them to sell, but I'm okay with that. I have the storage, I paid up for these items. This one sold for $105. It was beautiful lace, teal, very vintage inspired 1950s A-line silhouette, that sort of stuff. I paid $15 for this dress. It was new with tags, and fees on it were $21. Shipping, I did give a discount of $1.72, so I made $67.28 on this dress. Next up is Good American. Still love to sell Good American jeans. These are the Good Legs, and they were in a black wash. I picked them up recently. I told you about my liquidation company here in Mississippi called Treasure Hunt, which also owns Dirt Cheap, and you may have Dirt Cheaps in your area if you live in the Southeast. Well, they got in a bunch of ThredUp stuff, and I got these Good American jeans from that ThredUp buyout. They sold for $43. I had paid $5.35 at Treasure Hunt for them, and after the $8.60 of fees from Poshmark, I made $29.05, and it only took 25 days to sell. Next up was a vintage piece and a men's piece. I don't sell tons of men's, but if I find special men's pieces, then I'm definitely gonna pick them up. I got these at the Bins, which is the Goodwill outlet. It was a Patagonia fleece vest from the 90s, and it sold for $65. My cost of goods were only $1.97 from that thrifting trip at the Goodwill outlet, and I actually went with my girl Brittany from Shop Foxborough. If you want to know anything about vintage, you should definitely be following her here on YouTube and Instagram. I'll link her channel below, but she came down to Mississippi and I got to hang out with her. We went to the Bins, so I got this when I was shopping with her. It did take a little bit to sell, but again, vintage sometimes can be long tail. It took 132 days to sell. But after fees, I did make $50.03 on this Bins piece, so good pickup, definitely. This is a Free People item. I don't know that I would pick up again. It was still a good sale, but it took a long time to sell. It took 671 days. Again, you saw this in my last What Sold video. Another Free People item sold that really wasn't Free People-esque. It wasn't very boho. This was like this too. This was just a button-up green sheer top. It sold for $30. I had picked it up at a thrift store for $3.34. And after fees and a shipping discount, I made $18.92. Next up's a little bit of hard goods for you, and They were a vintage Pyrex dish called Verde, and it was in this green pattern, and then also glass bake, which was in the green daisies pattern. So glass bake is very similar to Pyrex. They made milk glass baking dishes just like Pyrex, just not as popular as Pyrex. But they have super cute patterns too. So if you divide up the bundle, they both sold for $18 a piece. They were both picked up at a thrift store with an average cost of goods around $4. After Poshmark fees, I made $10.76 on one and $8.61 on the other. The total profit just under $20, so that's a great flip. And they sold within 76 days. These are not super desirable Pyrex or glass bake pieces. There are ones that sell for a lot more. You may have been following the recent eBay thing that happened where a really rare Pyrex sold for $22,000. I'm not sure the person paid for it, but it did there was a bidding war and it went up to $22,000. So there are some very valuable glass bakeware dishes from the mid-century era. These were more late 60s, early 70s in the avocado green, which isn't as popular. They're a little bit easier to find, and so that's why they don't sell for as much, but you can still flip them for a profit. Another hard goods bundle for me on Poshmark. Both of these I showed in recent hauls. The first was a Noritake dish in peach luster, had hand-painted flowers and a single handle on one side, just a really pretty decorative piece. And the other one was from the Pioneer Woman series that Walmart has had, but is highly collectible. So if you find Pioneer Woman in the thrift store, definitely look it up because some of these pieces can sell for a nice price. These sold for $28.50 each. My cost of goods were $4.63 and $4.38 respectively. Like I said, both picked up at thrift stores. The fees were $5.70 per item, and so I came out with $18 and change on each of these pieces. So a little bit better return on my investment for those two, but a little more of an exciting bundle. So I'm really delving into hard goods, and hard goods seem to be moving a lot faster for me. Actually, the Noritake dish was listed for 8 days and the Pioneer Woman was listed for 2 days. So fast flips. I'm definitely loving selling hard goods right now. And even though clothing is slow, so I am trying to find more hard goods to flip to make a profit. So I recently tried out a new company called America's Thrift Supply. You can see those unboxings here on YouTube. And in my first shoe unboxing, I got 2 shoe boxes. There are 10 shoes in each box for $35. That's $19.99 plus shipping of $15. And the first pair of shoes from those boxes sold, and it was these Clark's leather boots. They are outdoors boots, winter boots. They had some faux fur trim, and I have not been picking up Clark's. I used to pick up Clark's religiously and they would flip for me, but they sort of slowed down a little bit. But some of these Clark styles can still demand a good profit, and so these sold for $60. My cost of goods on that box was $4.12, and after Poshmark fees and a shipping discount, I brought home $42.16, so already paid for one of those boxes. Next up is a Tory Burch dress. This did take a little bit of time to sell. I think I'm gonna stick with the Tory Burch shoes. Clothing just does not move that fast, and this sold in 314 days for $40. I had picked it up at a thrift store in New Orleans for $8.04. That was a very shoe heavy haul. That's why my cost of goods was a little bit higher on average at that thrifting trip. And then after Poshmark fees of $8, I brought home $23.96. This is a vintage piece. I was picking up a lot of vintage blazers there for the last couple years. They're not moving like they were, but they were pretty on trend for, a few seasons ago. This was a cropped, woven little jacket, and it was so cool. It was in a red, blue, and green tweed, so really cool jacket. It sold for $35. My cost of goods were $5.40 to thrift store. Poshmark fees were $7. And so I made $22.60. Again, I'm still picking up vintage blazers. They still move, but I'm being a little more selective on what I'm getting because it's got to be special, really. Next up was an Anna Sui Anthropologie collaboration. I let this go for a little bit less than I normally would Anna Sui, but it was a collaboration with Anthropologie, so not as much value. It was a silk dress, and I picked this up in Virginia when I was road tripping last summer. It sold for $27, and after cost of goods and fees, I made $15.81. So on to my 2 Mercari sales I wanted to share with you for the first 2 weeks of July. The first was a Lanzin herringbone skirt. I actually own this myself and never wore it. I'm sure I paid a lot for it when I was working a job where I had to wear business casual, and it did sell for $38 over on Mercari. I do offer free shipping on Mercari. My cost of goods were $0. The shipping was $5.72, and Mercari fees were $5.20. So I made $27.08 on something that's just been sitting in my closet and I had never worn. The last item I'm going to share with you is a pair of Rag & Bone jeans. They were like a tuxedo jean. They were white with black stripes on the side, and I did pick these up at my local liquidation store, Treasure Hunt, in that thread-up buyout that they did. So excited to find Rag & Bone. I don't pick up all Rag & Bone, but special styles I will still pick up. These sold for $65. I had paid $5.35 in cost of goods, and after fees and shipping, I made $44.68, and those sold in 21 days. So those are my sales for the first 2 weeks of July 2022. I am very curious to know how your summer's going. Are you experiencing the dreaded summer slowdown? It's weird for me. I've never experienced summer slowdown, but I think the combination of the Poshmark algorithm change and my eBay suspension have just put me in this situation. So I'm just plugging along because I know eventually it will pick back up, and I'm very happy to make any sales. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, I would love to have you here, so please consider subscribing. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up on the way out if you enjoyed watching it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.